Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Watch It in Action. I'm BouseFeenux, and today we're going to be taking a look at Mag Prime. So, as her name suggests, Mag Prime is going to be a Warframe that manipulates magnetic energy, and she does this to great effect against Corpus enemies, and that's primarily where I'm going to be using her. So, with that being said, let's take a look at the build real quick and see what we got here. What we're really focusing on here is the skill she has called Shield Polarize. And this build is kind of based around that, but fortunately, that kind of makes her other abilities kind of effective too. The only thing is we're not really going to be using those as much because they're not nearly as useful, and after you see what we can do with Mag in this build, I'm not so sure you're going to want to be using those other abilities all the time either. So, really low duration. Mag's abilities really aren't affected by duration. The only one that really is the Bullet Attractor ability, which we're not going to be using too often. We have pretty decent efficiency with a rank 8 blind rage on, or rank 9 out of 10 blind rage on here. Obscene power range. This is one of the most important things next to power strength. The cool thing about power strength on this build is this is about as high as you need it to be able to kill just about anything. Corpus, anything shielded in the game. And then taking a look at the mods here, you'll notice that I'm using the shield transference augment. And essentially what this does is it allows us to get over shield from those enemies that we've shield polarized. And I'll show you how that works in a second. If you cannot get this mod, don't worry about it too much. You can use a max rank redirection, but this is going to be a lot more effective at getting you really high shields. And it's a lot cheaper than a max rank redirection, which allows you to put this whole build on here without a forma. So let's take a look at our abilities real quick and see what we got. The first one here is Pull, and essentially what this does is think like Jedi Force Pull from Star Wars. Is in a cone in front of Mag. It used to be all around her, but they've recently changed it, but now it's basically like a cone in front of her. This is going to pull any enemies that are standing towards you, and it basically just brings them into melee range, and this is great for opening enemies up to finishers, the ground finishers, stuff like that. So if there's any stragglers that survive your shield polarize, this is a really good crowd control skill that can save your life, and quickly pick off those guys that may have survived. Bullet Attractor is a skill that I talked about a second ago. Essentially what this does is it puts a magnetic field around a target, and any projectiles that you fire through that magnetic field are immediately redirected to the target. So this is kind of fun to play with. I don't use it very much, but it's really cool with shotguns because some shotguns have really wide spread, and if any of those projectiles were to miss the target, they would immediately be redirected to it if they pass through that magnetic field. So the last ability she's got here, Crush, is basically a huge AoE skill, and it'd be a lot better if only it scaled its damage. That's the main problem with this skill here. It's okay, it's decent, but the damage doesn't scale, and this 2,775 damage is going to fall off really quickly. And then lastly, her main ability, which is what we're going to be using here, is this Shield Polarize, and essentially how this works is it's almost an instant cast. It casts so quickly, and any shielded enemies in the area will have their shields basically exploded. Their shields turn into like a volatile grenade. And the cool thing about this skill is it has a damage multiplier, which is going to make it fantastic later on in the game at really high levels, and I'll show you how that's going to work here. But let's test out the abilities, see how they work. I'm just going to show you guys without any enemies, the casting animations and stuff. So we have Pull here, and with the Greedy Pull augment, which is something you can get for Mag, it'll drag items to you as well, which is kind of nice for survival because it'll also drag those air pods to you. Shield Polarize is like this, and then I can't actually show you Bullet Attractor because there's no enemies around. And then Crush has a really long casting animation, but any enemies that are caught in that casting animation or in the radius that they would be affected are immediately incapacitated. So let's show this. Let's show these skills on some enemies here. I'm going to spawn some Corpus Tech dudes here. They're level 90, so if you've ever fought like really high level Corpus Techs, you know they have a crap ton of health. They have a lot of shield. They're really, really tough. So we're going to make a bunch of those. We're going to jump down here. We're going to cast Shield Polarize. And they're all dead. That was 20 level 90 Corpus Techs killed in basically a second. So if any of them were to survive, we would have just pulled them off with Pull, get them on the ground, do a melee finisher on them, or just shoot them, whichever. If there's a cliff nearby, like this, in the Simulacrum, there's tons of open space that you can pull enemies off to and ring them out. We would have killed them. So that's pretty much Mag. Really, it's just press 2 to win. I mean, it doesn't really get any simpler than this, guys. You just run around. She's got amazing range. As you saw, I covered this entire area here. I was standing basically there when I used it. fantastic frame for a Corpus. I mean, you can't really beat her for Corpus missions, and she's really getting a lot of popularity lately with the sorties that have come up that are really high level that may involve some Corpus enemies. But essentially, guys, this is Mag. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something from it. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching.